Good afternoon, members. We'll call to order the Committee on Jobs and Economic Development. It is Wednesday, April 15th. For those who don't recall, this is tax day, so you'll make sure that you file your taxes. It is always good to say that we have a quorum. A quorum is present. As usual, I try to give you a roadmap as to how we're going to proceed today. We're going to take up, members, we will take up Senate File 4535 and Senate File 3664, which would be a vehicle bill for our supplemental omnibus finance bill for the Jobs Committee this session. And just so that you also know, as we look at the at Senate File 4535, should everything go according to the plan, the only folks that will need to testify are those that we haven't heard from already, but we are planning not to get much testimony from 4535. Now, when it comes to Senate File number 3664, which is our omnibus bill, again, the only people that will testify will be those who have not testified before, but we want those who are mentioned in the bill to be available in the event any member has any questions. So hopefully everyone is on the same page. With that being said, first we need a motion to pick Senate File number 4535 off the table. Senator Muhammad.
Mr. Chair, I make the motion to pick the bill up from the table.
Okay. Members, any questions on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say no. The motion prevails. Senate File number 4535 is off the table. Senator Muhammad will come forward and chair.
All right, Senator Champion, I believe you would like to reconsider the oral amendment that was moved in Section 2 from the A2 amendment that is before us. Is that correct?
That is correct, Madam Chair. Just so that the members recall, that was the oral amendment to take out Section 2. I'm asking us to reconsider that motion.
Okay, I think Senator Pa moves to reconsider the oral amendment. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, I thank you, Chair Mohammed. I appreciate our reconsideration to add back the $250,000 that will be going back onto a analysis for economic impact in the state of Minnesota, and I encourage all of us to please support that.
Thank you, Senator Pa. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. No. The motion prevails.
Thank you so much for that. And now that the bill is before us,
Senator Champion?
we are moving, I think I need to move the A2 amendment, or is that already before us? Because we did that before, but I wasn't certain.
We will move on the oral amendment to remove Section 2 from the bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion fails and Section 2 is not removed from the bill. Now, next, I believe we have an amendment from Senator Champion with some clean-up language from Council and Fiscal, the A6 amendment.
The A6 amendment. Okay. The A6 amendment. Just so that I'm clear on the last motion as it pertains to Section 2, Section 2 of the bill was to reinstate the study. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr.
And
Senator.
I wasn't sure if you said that that motion. Oh, got it. It failed because we were reconsidering it. It failed. Got it. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Thank you, Madam Chair, for just indulging me. Now, someone move the A6, or I'll move the A6 amendment.
Okay, Senator Champion moves the A6 amendment. Can Council and Fiscal explain the A6 amendment?
Madam Chair and members, the A6 is just a technical amendment that institutes a cancellation that to accompany the forward fund appropriation. This was not included in the A2 amendment, and this adds that.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Senator Pratt?
I was going to ask, before we voted, I was going to ask a question if, so we're taking $100 million out of the Minnesota Forward Fund for the bill in front of us.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The motion prevails. Next, I believe we have an amendment from Senator Pa, the A7 amendment.
Thank you, Chair Mohammed. I do. I have an A7 amendment that would delete lines 2.20 on page 2. Originally, it was, this line says, have at least one employee on payroll. And by deleting this particular line, it would allow businesses who have permanent physical commercial locations but have no employees the ability to be eligible for these loans.
Thank you, Senator Pa. Members, any discussion on the A7 amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The motion prevails. Okay, Senator Champion, I believe we've got the bill in the shape that you intended. Please feel free to make any remarks you'd like before we go to additional discussion.
Thank you. No, the bill before us is designed as an opportunity to make sure that we could provide an economic recovery package that is designed to help businesses across our state that were impacted by Operation Mitchell Surge. We've already heard testimony on this issue in our informational hearing as well as when we presented this bill previously. So today we will only be discussing the bill further before hopefully passing the bill out to finance. And I look forward to any additional discussion on this bill. And I and the department are here to answer questions.
Thank you. Members, any discussion on Senate File 4535? Senator Pa?
Thank you, Chair Mohammed. I just want to speak in strong support of this bill, and I want to thank Senator Champion for his hard work in partnership with all of us to bring forward this bill. Small businesses represent nearly 46% of our state's total workforce. That's huge. And are often owned by people who live in their local communities. And so it has a local impact on those communities. Small businesses and micro businesses also operate with very little capital and also lack those significant assets, whether they be ownership of buildings or collateral of any sort, and they are constrained when it comes to getting bank loans when times like this hits. And so our small businesses are the ones who are most hardest hit with Metro Surge and all the ICE enforcement that has happened here in our state. And I believe that this small business recovery fund is what's going to support all of our businesses so that they do continue to remain in our communities and employ our workforce. Thank you, Senator Champion, for your leadership in this bill.
And Madam Chair, can I just say thank you to Senator Pott and the rest of the committee who worked tirelessly on just making certain that every I is dotted and every T is crossed in order for us to present a bill that is welcoming for a cross-section of our businesses across the state. So thank you so very much for your support there. Senator
Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, Madam Chair, I've got a number of concerns with this bill. One of which was going to be the funding source, and it still is. We're taking money from the Minnesota Forward Fund, which is a fund that was designed to help close and facilitate, help close some of the deals and facilitate private investment in this state. We are woefully behind. We don't have an angel tax credit, so to speak, to bring in new capital. Our job growth and GDP growth is below the national average. For the first time since 2007, our unemployment rate is above the national average. We are not a business-friendly state. We are not a state. As the Jobs Committee, we are tasked with a number of things. And one of those is to make sure that every Minnesotan can be prosperous. And we've always talked about that as removing barriers to employment. During the 23 and 24 sessions, we added more barriers to employment than I ever recall in this institution. We want to promote private investment. We're taking away the very tool that we're using to help attract, one of the few tools we have to attract private investment. We want to make sure that people are ready not only for the jobs of today, but for the careers of tomorrow. We're not doing that. This is, and we've likened this to the COVID response. Well, I can tell you that we were getting money out when people were closed during COVID. We were getting money out when they had to make those rent payments, when they had to make those utility payments. We were paying people unemployment at the time. Now here we are going way back in history, and we're not even talking about and then if we're going to talk about economic impacts, we should be talking about the economic impacts of $9 billion worth of fraud. But we're sweeping that under the rug. I would encourage members to vote against this bill because it's going to continue to set our state behind. It continues to stifle job growth. It continues to stifle innovation. We should be putting these funds to use to bring us back up in GDP growth, to bring us back up in job creation, and to lower our unemployment rate. Instead, we're doing handouts. And we're not even addressing the big elephant in the room of fraud. So, Mr. Chair, I encourage members to vote no.
Madam Chair?
Senator Champion?
Thank you so very much, and thank you, Senator Pratt, for your words. You and I have worked, very well together, and we have always been very forward with each other when we think either of us are wrong. This is one of those times where, my good friend, that you're very wrong. You're not just sort of wrong, you're very wrong. And
Madam Chair and Senator Champion, let's not go down this path.
Oh, no, I'm going to talk to
of
you.
attacking each other personally, right? I didn't talk about you. I didn't talk about your intentions on this bill. I talked about the fact that I think the bill is taking us in the wrong direction. And so I would appreciate if you not make personal comments like that.
Senator Pratt, thank you. And next time you still have to go through the chair. Senator Champion.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator Pratt. It wasn't personal. If you would have given me a chance, I would have said that we just disagree. We just disagree with your impressions and thoughts about this particular bill. And let me be very clear. This bill, I'm certain that you've had a chance to look at it. We are providing support for businesses. You talk about unemployment. If we don't provide this particular support for businesses, there'll be a ton of individuals losing jobs because of Operation Metro Surge. So we do think that this is right. We do think that this is right around the unemployment issue because we want to make sure that individuals and businesses, entrepreneurs are able to stay in business. And it's business friendly. We want businesses across our state, which is why we didn't only deal with one geographic area, but across our state. So businesses across our state would know that we care about them and that we see them. And so it is business friendly. So by also looking at this bill, you see that even once these forgivable loans with zero interest are done across our state, which would give businesses an opportunity to get their footing, and you mentioned that it's a handout. I don't quite remember when getting a loan and you have to repay a loan is a handout. There's no handouts in this bill. When you think in terms of private investments, this is for private business. Private business. This is for private business so that they are able to survive. So every Minnesota business, we want them to prosper because when businesses prosper and when we support businesses, we should do that in real time, right? And I mentioned earlier that these forgivable loans, once they are executed and people pay back, we replenish the Minnesota Forward Fund. And that was a fund that I came up with. in order to make certain that, our businesses could continue to compete for federal resources, and we are still committed to that. As it pertains to careers for tomorrow, listen, we are preparing and always doing things for careers for tomorrow, which you'll see in our omnibus bill. We'll continue to do this important work because it is important. So these funds being available now and that will be replenished, that continues to show our commitment to all businesses, mom and pop businesses, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and larger businesses, for that matter. It's sort of similar in my mind to, and not the same, is the Main Street grant. And I believe that you were the person who advocated for Main Street grants because we understood that those Main Street businesses are still in need right now today, which is why we're doing this very thing. So we also believe, last but certainly not least, that we have all the protections and the mechanisms to prevent fraud. We know that we've been hearing numbers of 9 billion, 1 billion. People are just grabbing numbers. But the idea is that we don't want fraud. We want to prevent fraud, and we believe that this is an ironclad approach in order to make sure that people have skin in the game and that we do everything that we can to support the businesses and make sure that we are putting taxpayers' money to good use.
Members, Senator Draham.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Senator Champion, for your work on this bill. I've said it before that, even if I don't like a program, I expect it to work properly. And I know what Senator Pratt brought up about the fraud in Minnesota has been front and center. And just yesterday, headline from KSDP, Waltz acknowledges potential loopholes in Minnesota Promise Act. And they kind of blamed us, elected officials, as a problem. So I guess what I would like to ask you, Senator Champion, what have we done different in your proposed $100 million spend here than the Promise Act, which was also $100 million? What safeguards have you put in here to make sure we don't have what the governor calls loopholes, or what I call waste, fraud, and abuse? So if we're going to do it, it goes to the people that really need it. So that would be my question, Chair.
So, Madam Chair, thank you, Senator Draham, and thank you for your question. There's a couple things that I'd like to point out. There's a reason why, even though I love media, and you also see that we are supporting a program that would develop young people who want to be journalists and those other things. So I have nothing to say about media as a profession. What I will say is KSTP has been wrong, and they continue to be wrong, and no matter how much valid information that we give them, they choose to still be wrong. So when you think in terms of even use of the word loophole, there's not a loophole. It's for an example. I'll give you one example. KSTP reported that someone received money like $5,000, $6,000 being geographically outside of the boundaries of the Promise Act. What they failed to tell you, and they had the information around, is that this business owner had a business in Minneapolis, Burnsville, and someone else. So when they received the funds, KSTP only wanted to report on Burnsville, but not report on the fact that the business, or one of the businesses, is in North Minneapolis. So even though we attempt to do it, we understand that people will still get those things wrong. But your bigger question is, what have we done in order to make sure that we continue to protect ourselves? One is, DEED has a very solid approach. These are also CDFIs. When we did Promise Act, we did both grants and loans. Some of the questions that KSTP has had questions about revolves around grants for $5,000 or less, right? And when we do the math, and I'm trying to remember the number, but it's sort of like 99 point blah, 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 as close as possible. There is no question around, not even a question about eligibility or others. So there are safeguards. There will continue to be safeguards here. There's a long list of things that these businesses have to demonstrate and show. Businesses are also stepping forward because it's loans. And one of the reasons why we also think forgivable loans are important is because the business has a stake in the process, but we're also encouraging them to stay open and to be with us. So there are those safeguards. These are loans versus grants, and we think that KSTP doesn't always capture everything adequately. But there was a report that also came out that you could read that report about the Promise Act and see that across this state, whenever there was a thought that someone was being fraudulent or was trying to give false information, all the entities from the Minnesota Initiative Foundation to NDC and others caught them and stopped it. And in fact, I think it was over 76 businesses that attempted to be fraudulent, and we stopped it because of the mechanisms that we have in place. So we will continue to do that.
Senator Drahan.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Champion. You know, I'm reading 4.5 where we have the fraud deterrence measures. I really don't see any teeth here, and you know, we've heard reports of people getting the money and fleeing the state, fleeing the country. Putting a sign up, you know, isn't going to stop fraudulent actors from doing bad things. So I think, yeah, I'm going to see this again in finance with you, obviously the floor, but I would like more spelled out. I'm not going to support the bill, but like I said last time when we laid it over, I think it needs more work, and I think this is on the minds of most Minnesotans, is what are we going to do moving forward? And I've been very disappointed in the response from our state agencies on what are they going to do different. And I'm not really hearing anything different. So that would be my ask. I can do the math. It's 5 against 2. You know, there's no amendment's going to help right now in this committee. But I appreciate your work on this. I know some people were affected. So I understand the passion behind this bill. But if we're going to do it, let's do it right. And I don't think we're quite there yet. So thank you.
Madam Chair, just briefly, Senator Draheim, thank you. You are right about the fact that there will always be fraudulent actors, and we want to do everything that we can in order to make sure that those fraudulent actors are not successful, which is why in the report around the Promise Act, you see how a cross-section of folks, including the Minnesota Initiative Foundations and others, stopped fraudulent actors and no money was given there. We will continue to move forward, and moving forward, Senator Draheim, you being the lead on this committee, we've always made you welcome to provide us any suggestions that you have. We'll continue to create that opening for you to give us some suggestions on language, because it is important for us to work together. But we will continue to support our state agency. DEED, from my vantage point, is not perfect, but they've done a good job with the Promise Act and others. I don't have any complaints about the work that they are doing, even how hard it is on the front end, because I even hear this from members of my community that talks about how difficult it is in order to get things past DEED, and DEED is crossing their T's and dotting their I's, and so we will continue to do that. So any amendments that you have in the future, if you want to talk more about the fraud deterrence measures, we are certainly open to that, which is why we have section subdivision 11 in the bill.
Senator Drahan.
Thank you, Chair and Senator Champion. Earlier you had mentioned about the forward fund being replenished, but isn't part of the bill forgivable loans? So how are we going to replenish the forward fund if they're forgivable loans? What's going to backfill that? What's the mechanism?
So thank you so much for that question. So you'll see in the bill that the loan is for 5 years. If a person pays consistently on the zero-interest loan for 2 years, that would get them to 40%, and that 40% goes back into the fund, but they're forgiven for the remaining 60%. So that is how that money goes back into the Minnesota Forward Fund.
Senator Graham follow? Nope. Members, any other questions? Senator Parr.
Thank you, Chair Mohammed. I just want to add one last thought here is that when we're debating whether or not businesses need this, I feel like there's some members who are bringing up like, it'd be fine just not to pass a $100 million bill to help small businesses. Just a few months ago, our federal administration, Trump sent over 2,000 ICE agents into our state. They disrupted our entire economy. They disrupted businesses from being able to operate. They disrupted Minnesotans' lives. Our small businesses suffered greatly during that time. They lost revenue. They lost their products. Many of our restaurants, they lost all of their stuff. And unless we are able to step up and help our small businesses, there are a lot of businesses that will never reopen. And there's a lot of businesses that they are still staying open, but they're in debt and they are struggling even today to still remain open. So the fact that somehow this happened a month ago or 2 months ago and it ended, that somehow businesses are all perfectly recovered and operating, that is so untrue. Those impacts from those months have a lasting impact. Have a lasting impact for some businesses for years. But I know for sure in my community, in my district, they still have impacts now. My businesses still struggle with paying their past due rents, still struggle with stocking their shelves because they don't have enough money. One of my businesses who testified here, Crumbs and Coffee, they're closed. They can never reopen again. And this is not just for my district, this is across Minnesota. So for us to do nothing is saying businesses, government came and caused all of this, our federal government, by the way, but we're not gonna help you, you're on your own. Sorry, too bad. That is just simply not right. And we must do something to help our businesses because our businesses, like we said, employ 40+% of our workforce. Not only that, but they're critical to our communities. So I employ all of our members, whether on the Republican side or the Democrat side, this should be a bill we should all be supporting. Thank you.
And the last thing, Madam Chair, if I could say.
Chair Champion.
Two things. One, Senator Parr, that number is 3,000, not even 2,000, 3,000 agents, because that's important. And the second thing that you said that I want to lift up is that the impact was on Minnesota businesses all across our state, whether you are Democrat or Republican. You know, they were not asking those questions, you know, but what we do know is that we have a commitment to businesses, and we want to demonstrate that by being here today, passing a bill that is good for businesses all across our state.
Members, any other? I will just add, because I think there has been a lot of discussion around the Forward Fund and what it was originally designated for. That this was supposed to be, we put dollars in to get a state match from the federal government, but for the past year and a half, we haven't had anything come from the federal government, and we're still putting money in. And this was supposed to go to things like the CHIPS Act, and because those investments are not coming from the federal government, we're repurposing this fund to help our small businesses that have been impacted by the actions of, again, the federal government because of the Metro Surge. And I will just thank you, Chair Champion, for bringing this forward, because what we've heard is just in Minneapolis alone that there have been well over $200 million lost in economics. And this isn't even enough for Minneapolis, let alone statewide. And I think I commend you for not using the bottom line money from the general fund, but finding a way to do this while we're still dealing with an impact from a federal government that seems to not really have Minnesota on their minds. And I know, there was a conversation around giving out handouts. The only people who are giving out handouts is the federal government to billionaires. And in this committee and in this legislature, we care about our small businesses that have been the economic engine of our communities, our small business community, our small restaurants, our immigrant businesses. And I commend you for doing this because it's really important, and our city and our state have been through a lot. And this is a one way for us to say, you know what? We're gonna get it from this fund that we're putting money in without getting investments, and we're gonna put it towards where we've lost funding. And so I just commend you for doing that. And with that, I believe, Senator Champion, your intention is to move the bill as amended to finance. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Great. Senator Champion moves to pass Senate File 4535 as amended and re-refer it to the Committee on Finance. Members, any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? No. The motion prevails. In case we need to, nothing actually. Senate File 4535 is recommended to pass as amended and be re-referred to Finance. Next, we will take up Senate File 3664. Senator Champion, I believe you have a couple of amendments for this bill.
That is correct,
Great.
Madam
Would you
Chair.
like to start with the A2 amendment?
Yes, the A2 amendment, because this is an author's amendment, I'm asking the committee to adopt the A2, and we'll use the A2 as a way to talk about our omnibus bill.
Great, thank you. Senator Champion moves the A2 amendment. Members, any discussion?
That's on here, and they, like, an hour before we left, was like, hey, can you join this meeting? And I was like,
Somebody
okay,
needs to
but we'll be
mute
joining.
themselves. I don't think you can mute. Okay, that was exciting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, the motion prevails. And Senator Champion, I believe you will also have the A3 to get this into the shape that you would like.
Let's see, A3. I don't have a copy of my A3.
There is one coming right to you.
All right, thank you so much, Madam Chair. Yes, I have the A3.
Great, thank you. Senator Champion moves the A3 amendments. Members, any discussion? Senator Pratt.
Madam Chair, I see an A4 and an A2. I don't have an A3 in my packet.
Does everyone, Madam Chair, have the A3?
Anybody else who needs a copy? No? Okay. Members, any discussion on that amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The motion prevails. Okay, Senator Champion, would you like to have Senate Counsel and fiscal staff walk through the bill as amended and then make your remarks?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you so very much.
All right, Carlin?
Or Mr.
Oh,
Monk.
Casey will start.
Madam Chair and members, there should be a spreadsheet in your packet titled Jobs and Economic Development 2026 Job Supplemental Budget, referencing the Senate file and the two amendments that were just adopted. The first few items on lines 4 through 6 are the general fund appropriations that are in the bill. There is a $2 million appropriation for Enterprise Minnesota from Senator Gustafson's bill. There is a $100,000 appropriation for Senator Paz's bill funding Ignite Businesswoman Investment Group Foundation. There is a $1.5 million appropriation to an automotive component manufacturer for electric vehicles, and a $7 million appropriation to the city of Chaska to attract Professional Golfers Association championship events. Line 6 also displays an extension of an appropriation for the Rural Cancer Institute pilot program from Senator Draheim's bill. Those are all appropriations in fiscal year 2027 and are one-time. They sum to $10.6 million, and on lines 9 and 10 are two cancellations that also sum to $10.6 million. One is the capital project grant cancellation from the 2021 taxes bill. That is roughly $6 million, and that was the money that was appropriated for meatpacking businesses. And on line 10 is a $4.63 million cancellation from the balance of the forward fund. Moving on to line 14 through 24, these are appropriations from the Workforce Development Fund. They are also all in fiscal year 27 and are one-time. $100,000 is for Senator Putnam's bill funding the Wallen Educational Partners Career Development Program. $130,000 is for the New Pathways Job Readiness Program from Senator Gustafson's bill. On line 17 is $250,000 appropriation for Senator Champion's bill funding people serving people, the pre-employment and job readiness work. Line 19 is from Senator Gustafson's bill. It is a $250,000 appropriation for the local news talent pipeline program. Line 20 is $150,000 for Senator Champion's bill providing a grant to Appetite for Change for workforce training. Line 21 is a $250,000 appropriation for Senator Champion's bill providing a grant to 180 Degrees for employment readiness. Line 22 is a $300,000 appropriation for Senator Champion's bill providing a grant to the Cookie Cart for workforce training. And on line 23 is a $500,000 appropriation for the Hmong American Partnership to conduct job training and other services. That is from Senator Pappas's bill. And lastly is $1 million for the Getting to Work grant program. That was from a bill of Senator Hers.
Great. And now we'll have Ms. Fontaine walk through the rest of the bill.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair and members, we will be looking now at the A2 document that you have. Article 1 contains the appropriations, modifications and cancellations, and also transfers. Section 1, as Mr. Mum walked through, contains some boilerplate language on the appropriations in subdivision 1, and then goes through, as Mr. Mum mentioned, the various appropriations, and these are all from the Workforce Development Fund, and one time unless otherwise specified for Wallen Education Partners, New Pathways, People Serving People. On page 2, we have the Local News Talent Pipeline Program, Appetite for Change, 180 Degrees, Cookie Cart, Hmong American Partnership, and the Getting to Work Grant Program. Also to be inserted then after that, due to the A3 amendment, would be an appropriation to Enterprise Minnesota, which is from the general fund, and then an appropriation to Ignite Business Women Investment Group that would be inserted there also from the general fund. Section 2 on the bottom of page 2 is an appropriation to automotive component manufacturer. This is, it plays off of a previous appropriation for this purpose, but would provide an appropriation from the general fund to meet the previous purpose for this automotive manufacturing, automotive component manufacturer. Then in section 3, we have the appropriation from the general fund is now at $7 million instead of what was originally in the A2 for the Professional Golfers Association of America PGA Championships events for a grant to the city of Chaska. On 3.17 in the blank there, the money is available until June 30th of 2029. In section 4, there is a modification for the Rural Cancer Institute pilot program. That was Senator Draheim bill that was discussed earlier this session. It would just, specify that money can be used to work with clinicians and students from elsewhere in the U.S. as long as the all the care is provided in Minnesota. And then on page 4, section 5, we have a couple of cancellations. One would be an amount remaining from an appropriation in 2021. And then on the A3 amendment, some money is also canceled. The $4,633,000 is from a previous appropriation. Mr. Mumm may have to help me out with that, what these exactly are, but we can go back to that. Let me just finish through the language here. And then the transfer on the A3 would transfer this money. Oh, that is canceled. The $4,633,000 is canceled from the forward fund. This is the way the mechanism has to work to get the money from the forward fund. You cancel it, and then it's transferred for the purposes to the general fund. So that's what's going on with that mechanics. Then Article 2, there are 2 sections that were part of a deed bill that Senator Champion had. And both sections amend the definition of judicial official to extend certain personal information protections to unemployment insurance judges and also to paid leave appeals judges, paid leave appeals division judges. So that's sections 1 and 2. And then section 3 is actually being deleted under the A3 amendment. So that is removed from the bill. And that is the extent of the A2 amendment as amended by the A3. And then if Mr. Mumm wants to clarify some of that money that was in the cancellation that I don't remember where it was canceled from. Thank you.
Okay. Senator Champion, you have your remarks. Go ahead.
First thing that I would say is I think that the provisions that are articulated in the A2 and A3 helps provide insight and services across our state. We have heard every one of these bills with the exception that we will hear something from Ignite in just one moment, but everything from Wallen to New Paths to People Serving People, where they provide, assistance, employment assistance for the homeless population. We also know that 180 Degrees, for an example, serves teens in Hennepin, Ramsey, Stearns, Carver, and Olmsted counties and surrounding areas. We know that we see the cookie cart, but they have 2 sites. One is in Minneapolis and one is in St. Paul. We also see getting to work as being very important, as well as all the others. So I'll pause there and see first if any members have any questions about any of those organizations, because they are represented here, and we can have them provide any insight that you don't currently have.
Thank you, Chair Champion. Before we get to that, I believe you have Senator Pa and her testifier to speak to it because of the A3 amendment that was added.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to do that next?
Yes, that's fine.
Senator Pa?
So Senator Pa, you can take over right here, and then if Ignite can come up and join her, that'd be great.
Thank you, Senator Champion.
I'm moving my stuff.
Oh, it's okay, I'll just put it right on top.
Okay, that's
So
it,
that it
that's
doesn't
fine.
disturb your stuff. I promise I won't touch it, so it doesn't just disturb your organization.
Senator Pa, you go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Mohammed, and thank you, Chair Champion, for hearing my bill. This bill is SF 4592, and it is a bill dedicated to advancing economic opportunity and business development for women entrepreneurs in underserved communities in the northwest suburbs through business training workshops, technical assistance, leadership development, and financial literacy programs. Chair Mohammed, I do have a testifier here today, and she can talk a little bit more about their organization and the work that they do.
All right, sounds good. Please state your name for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Senator Pa. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and member of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Jenny Seabury, and I represent the Unite Business Women Investment Group Foundation. Our mission is to empower women, especially the BACPA and underserved women, through entrepreneurship, leadership, and long-term economic opportunity. I'm here in strong support of the proposed $100,000 one-time appropriation in fiscal year 2027 to the Commissioner of Economic Employment Development for a grant to the Unite Business Women Investment Group Foundation to provide capacity building and business development support for women entrepreneurs. Through our work, we met women with strong ideas, determination, and the desire to contribute to our economy. However, faced with rare barriers, limited access to capital, lack of business training, and limited professional work without support, these barriers often prevent them from turning their ideas into sustainable businesses. At Unite Business Women Investment Group Foundation, we go beyond helping women start businesses. We focus on long-term economic empowerment and wealth building. A key part of our work is supporting women entrepreneurs to come together through cooperative model to co-own retail and commercial spaces. This allows them to move beyond renting and become their own landlords, reducing costs, building equity, and creating long-term financial stability for themselves and their families. If awarded this funding, it will be used as outlined to provide businesses planning,
If you want to finish your remarks.
leadership
that'd be great.
development, financial literacy, training, and market support. In addition, we provide grants to community-based organizations specializing in women-focused entrepreneurship support, ensuring that the services are relevant and accessible.
Thank you. If you have more to say, you could just send us a letter. We appreciate you. All right, thank you, Senator Pa. Senator Champion, I believe you have Lynn Shelton from Enterprise, Minnesota to answer your questions, but they don't need to testify, is that correct?
Yes, only if there are any questions for the committee with Enterprise Minnesota, because we heard their presentation already. The only one that we gave a little more time to was Ignite, because that's one that we had not heard before, but all the others came before the committee already.
Great, thank you. Then we will move to our two sign-ups for testimony. First, we have May Yurtao. I think I said that okay. I'm sorry.
Madam
From the
Chair,
Hmong American Partnership.
yeah, that's the same issue, that they would testify to any questions that the committee would have. Oh, you have additional testimony? Did you testify before?
I believe she signed up to testify.
Okay.
And then after that, we have Anna Odegaard. If you want to get ready, if you could both please approach the testifier table, that would be great. And you go ahead, please introduce yourself, and you have 2 minutes.
Chair Mohammed, my name is actually spelt Mayurtao. It's pronounced Mainza, but you would never know that. So no apologies needed. Chairs, again, and members of the committee, thank you. It's an honor to be in front of you all again this session. On behalf of the Hmong American Partnership, I wanted to just take this moment to come and thank all of you for your leadership for advancing this omnibus bill. I really also want to express our sincere appreciation for your inclusion of HAP into this bill. This investment is not just funding, it is a recognition of the critical role that community-based organizations play in preparing Minnesota's workforce and meeting the needs of our economy. At HAP, we work every day, as you heard in our previous testimony, with individuals who are ready to work, but need access to the training, the credentials, and support to get there. And yet demand continues to exceed our capacity. Today, we have long wait lists across our career pathway programs and folks who are just ready to start working. And so investments like this today help us to move forward our workforce shortages here in Minnesota and to meet those demands. We are grateful that this committee has made strategic investments that prioritize workforce development and economic opportunity. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your trust and for your commitment to ensuring that all Minnesotans have a pathway to prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we have Anna Ordegaard. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Pardon me. My name is Anna Odegaard, and I'm here as a volunteer advocate for the Minnesota Community Action Partnership. I'm here to thank Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, the committee for including an appropriation for the Getting to Work grant program in your supplemental funding bill. Also, thank you especially to our bill author, Senator Herr, our bill co-author, Senator Draheim, who have both been longtime supporters of this program. In the last funding round, Getting to Work grants were awarded through a competitive process to 12 nonprofit vehicle programs helping people in more than half of Minnesota counties with the transportation they need to get to work and support their families. This renewed funding would allow many of those programs and potentially different programs to continue those services in their community. Every Getting to Work program is a little different. Just a couple of examples. The Arrowhead Economic Opportunity Agency up in Virginia, Minnesota, offers down payment assistance for the purchase of a used vehicle, along with classes on budgeting for vehicle ownership. Central Lakes College Foundation near Brainerd offers hands-on vehicle maintenance and repair workshops, along with fixing up donated vehicles to grant to a family who needs a car to get to work. The Hennepin County Community Action Partnership provides financial assistance towards a needed car repair for community members who also complete a financial wellness workshop to build financial stability. The common thread in every Getting to Work program is supporting individual self-determination and independence by helping them overcome the transportation barriers to maintain or gain income and employment and build financial stability. Thank you so much to the chair and the committee for recognizing the value of this Getting to Work program and making it a priority to review the funding.
Thank you. Next, I think we'll go to member discussion and amendments. Senator Champion, do you have?
Just one thing, Madam Chair, thank you. I thought that Lynn Shelton was going to only be here for answer any questions, but I wasn't sure if I was cutting her testimony off, which appeared that I was cutting off some others' testimony, and I wanted to make sure that.
I have testimony.
Okay.
Would you like to hear it?
Yep, sure.
All right. Please state your name for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, and my name is Lynn Shelton, and I serve as a Vice President at Enterprise Minnesota. And I'm here to say thank you for including $2 million in the general fund for the version of Senator Gustafson's bill that really will help fuel Enterprise Minnesota's work with small manufacturers throughout the state. We are, as many of you know, a statutory nonprofit consulting organization, and we have a proven track record of cost-effectively helping companies compete and grow profitably. Manufacturers create create high-paying jobs and contribute to the economic heartbeat of local communities, with every dollar in manufacturing contributing $2.69 to the economy. You know, our experts live and work throughout the state, and they will use these resources to continue helping small manufacturers deploy technology and automation, which is a part of the Made in Minnesota grant that was passed last year, apply continuous improvement or lean principles, develop employee skills, implement quality management systems, improve strategy, and enhance marketing. These services, provided at cost-competitive rates because of this legislation, allow our homegrown manufacturers to compete and provide high-wage careers. At an average annual wage of $88,874, manufacturing workers' wages are 16% higher than the state's average wage. The Omnibus bill will also allow Enterprise Minnesota to weather the current storm of uncertain federal funding from the Manufacturing Extension Partnership Program out in Washington, D.C., or MEP. Just last week, the president zeroed out MEP in his 2027 budget recommendation to Congress. Over the many years the legislature has invested in Minnesota's work with manufacturers, we have proven to be excellent stewards of the state resources, and we will continue to do so. Our work produces meaningful and impactful change, so I would be delighted to answer any questions if you have any.
All right, thank you, ma'am, and thank you for your testimony. Now we'll go to member discussion. Senator Gustafson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator Champion, for including this. This is such a big deal. I also want to give credit to Senator Draheim. This was his bill originally, and he allowed me to join him on the work. So thank you to Senator Draheim, too, who's always been a champion of manufacturing as well. In my district, we have 44 manufacturers just alone in Badness Heights. I have 9 cities, and just one of those cities has 44 manufacturers. If you go to Lino Lakes, the northern side of my district, 1,600 people in Lino Lakes have jobs in manufacturing. So this is, and I think that might make us maybe a little bit unique as far as suburbs in the 7-county metro area, but I'm proud of that. I've talked many times with my husband's in manufacturing. It is, they are good paying jobs. They are often local jobs. People take a lot of pride in the work that they do. And the company that they work for. And the Made in Minnesota program is wonderful. Happy to support it. And I just, again, I think this is really important. I plan on making this a priority for jobs in the future. And so happy to partner with you on this now. And going forward, we'll see if we can do more for you in another session. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Gustafson. Senator Draheim.
Thank you. Thank you for coming up and speaking. I think we all know how important manufacturing is. It's the lifeblood of especially rural areas. Most communities, that's all they have left is a manufacturing. So thank you for being here, and thank you, Senator Champion, for including this in your bill proposal.
And if I can, Madam Chair, I also recognize former State Representative Marty Seifert, who is here with us as well. And the only reason why I'm doing that, not just because he's a great guy, but because through the Promise Act, we were able to also do great work for businesses in rural Minnesota. And so we got a chance to go out and visit, and we heard the extraordinary impact that the Promise Act was having in rural Minnesota as well.
Thank you. And then now we'll move on to discussion on the bill. Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair Mohammed. I would like to offer the A4 amendment, if I could.
All right, Senator Draheim moves the A4 amendment. Should be in your packets.
Which is, I believe, Senator Rest's bill. So it just states within 90 days, it must have a report detailing the use of the grant funds, any related documentation related to oversight and management of the grant, and the outcome of the grant. As a condition of this grant, the city of Chaska must agree to provide the director of Explore Minnesota any information necessary to complete the report.
Thank you, Senator Champion.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Senator Draheim, thank you for the A4. What I'll ask you to do is to withdraw it today, because I didn't have a chance to talk to Senator Rest or the PGA or any of them about this reporting necessary. I just want to ask them just so we can get their response. In the event that there's any modifications or we're okay with accepting it, you are on finance, and so it would be great for us to be able to work on it between now and finance. I know you're on finance, Senator Pratt's on finance, I am, as well as Madam Chair as well.
All right, Senator Draheim.
Thank you. I definitely will withdraw it and continue to work on it. I think it's just important that if we're going to continue to fund these organizations that are pretty well off, I would like to know that we're getting a return on our investment. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Draheim. Members, any other discussion on the bill? Senator Pratt.
On total?
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, Madam Chair, there's a lot to be concerned about in this bill. I'm going to focus on the appropriation to the automotive component manufacturer piece, section 2. Article 1. And Madam Chair, we just gave this program $5 million back in 2023. We were supposed to have, I appreciate Senator Draheim's request for a report, but the fact of the matter is the reports that we get are insufficient. We went back, we were supposed to get a report on this program in December of 2023. There was no report. The last report, the only report I've seen is a report from February of 2025. And I'll quote directly, this is a table of contents and a program background. They were supposed to report on the uses of the money appropriated, the number of jobs created due to the appropriation, wage information, the city and state in which the manufacturer activity was located. The only thing we got, one, the money was appropriated in June of 2024. But there is no information in this report. It says the grantee has 2 manufacturing partners, and they want to create new solutions to meet OEM standards. It's anticipated the project will create 16 new jobs in the city of Brooklyn Park. Nothing about how the money was used. Nothing about how many jobs were actually created. Nothing. All we have is program background. There is nothing in here about wage information. Nothing in here about the actual jobs created. And as far as I can tell, there's not been a follow-up to the February 2025 report. And here we are, we're going to give another $1.5 million to this company. We've already given them $500 million, or will give them $500 million, because we appropriated $2.5 million each year in the last biennium. I looked at the session law that was passed, and we're going for another $1.5 million. This is beyond reasonable. We passed a bill last year that said, if you don't follow up with the information that's required, you shouldn't get the money back. You shouldn't qualify for new monies to be distributed. And here we are, and we don't even know who this company is that's being hidden from the public. Where's the transparency?
Madam, are you?
I'm done. Go ahead.
Senator Champion?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Senator Pratt. Senator Pratt, I'm not sure where you get this. We've given them $2.5 billion from. That's some number I don't know anything about, because we haven't. This organization, just so that you're clear, we allocated $5 million, and then it got cut down to $4 million. And then it got cut again because we took some money from this fund last year.
Okay.
They probably, if we were to allocate it, probably got less than 1.4 million, and they were already in the process of doing the work that they were supposed to. So we made a mistake by cutting that money, because they were already on the hook and already doing the work. So this is to partially replenish what was already taken. So even if we allocate this, it'd be, and if all of it is used, it will be roughly a little less than $3 million. So just so that we're clear about that, so we're not giving them more money on top of the $5 million that you have talked about. As pertains to the report, it's my understanding that the report was provided, because I know when we talked just recently, that there was a report that was provided, and there were questions that were being answered about the report or certain aspects of it. But just so that you're clear, I just wanted to make sure that you had that information.
Senator Pratt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to be clear, I'm reading the report, and verbatim, the state entered into a contract agreement for $2,475,000 with this company, not $1.5 million. $2.475 million is what the report says. So I'm presuming, so Senator Champion, I'm presuming I'm taking Deed's numbers.
Well, I think.
Senator Champion?
Madam Chair, but Senator Pratt, I think you said 2.5 billion, and so that's what raised my hair, and I don't have that much.
No, it was
But just-
2.5, Madam Chair.
Maybe we can have somebody from DEED if they have something they want to add to the discussion. Thank you, Devin.
Madam Chair.
Senator
session-
Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The session law said that we were going to appropriate 2.5 million each year. It may have been cut back in the last year, and Dee's report says 2.475 was what they contracted for.
Okay. Devin, do you want to introduce yourself to the committee?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Devin Bowdry, Government Relations Director. This report that they're to submit is one that goes directly to the legislature, not to us and to the legislature, so I have not seen a final report yet, or if we've received a courtesy copy, but I'm trying to verify with staff. The initial contract around that 2.4-ish million seems right after we take out admin for the first year when they were initially appropriated funds. But yes, last year we did claw back, I think, 3 million or so of that appropriation.
Okay.
And just so that we're clear
Senator
about
Champion.
the word, we shouldn't use words very loosely. It wasn't a clawback, because it's not as if they did anything. We ended up cutting their appropriation because we wanted to use it for something else, and we were under the impression that they were not using the funds.
Senator Pratt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, Mr. Bowdry, the report came from the Economic Development and Research Division, Office of Business Finance. It's got the deed logo on the cover page. It did presumably come from your agency, and it contains none of the information that the legislature asked for, other than the fact that it was located in Brooklyn Park. It doesn't talk about how the money's being used. It doesn't talk about the number of jobs created, just maybe the number of jobs that they hope to create. Wage information, which is missing. We put these reports in for a reason. And the reason that we came back and added the language last year around not granting information to people who don't submit their reports was because the legislative auditor came back and said DEED is not collecting the information on these grants that we as a legislature have determined as necessary. And now here we are trying to, and this is if I recall, this is a for-profit company. Why are we hiding the name of the grantee? We don't do it for anybody else. The name of the grantee isn't listed in this report at all.
Madam Chair, to Senator Pratt. Senator Pratt, this appropriation did not go to anyone in particular, but once there was a decision as pertains to who it was, certainly no one is not trying to be transparent, and we'll certainly check our records just to see if we received that report, and we'll be happy to share it with you as well.
Senator Pratt?
Madam Chair, I talked about it before, and I know we're on the talking about the bill in total, but I think when we look at, we just talked about the fact that we want an economic impact on ICE, and we have continued to see, fraud case after fraud case after fraud case and misappropriation and waste. And we haven't got the reporting from DEED that we expect. We haven't talked about the economic impact of reporting. What could happen with $1.5 million that was utilized some other way than for a for-profit company? And again, we allocated $5 million, and we've given them 2.475 because DEED took their administrative cut out of it. And no one can figure out who this company is. No one can figure out how many jobs they actually created. Nobody can figure out how the money was used, exactly what the report stated it should have.
Senator Pratt?
This along with a number of these other provisions, I think are a misappropriation of taxpayer funds. And I'm really struggling with the fact that here we are asking for another 1.5 million for this particular, when they didn't even come and talk to this committee, as far as I recall, in person this year. There was no
Senator
discussion.
Pratt, if you don't mind me asking, have you checked in with the agency prior to this meeting about the concerns you have?
No, Madam Chair, this just came to light within the last 24 hours.
Okay, well, maybe it's a discussion with the agency after this.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, if I could also say, I really think that we as members should be very careful in the wording that we use to indict, for lack of a better word, all the other folks who are identified and articulated in the proposal. If we have a specific question, we can raise that appropriately. And even in this, time of fraud and challenge, we can ask questions, but we don't have to be, we don't have to misconstrue or speak to the viability of any of the organizations here. There's not an organization here that hasn't been tried and tested and have reports. And if you can find one, I would ask that you tell us exactly what it is, who it is, outside of you saying about the automotive private company, that there is always names and transparency around. We did clarify the appropriation because you had that information wrong. But we would be happy to answer any other questions, but I don't think it's fair to say Enterprise Minnesota, for an example, that has done great work across our great state for manufacturers. That would be important. And we'll be happy to answer any other questions that you have, Senator Pratt.
Senator Draham.
Thank you, Chair. And Senator Champion, I mean, don't you think the people of Minnesota deserve to know who we're handing out millions of dollars to?
Senator Pratt. Senator Champion.
Absolutely. There's no question about that. And if there is a report that we have, we want to make sure that we provide that. And if there's information that Dee doesn't have, that is a question that will be put forward. But there is a name. Don't we have a name of the organization? That I know the name of the organization, but maybe Dee should know the name of the organization.
Madam Chair, Senator Draheim, Senator Champion, I forget the full name. I think it's Forward something.
It's Flex Forge, I think
Flex
it is.
Forge.
Okay, so we have a company name, Senator Draham.
Sure. I guess the question is probably directed more at Dee than you, Senator Champion. I think we're on the same page. We both agree that we should have at least a basic information on who we're giving money to. And it concerns me that it isn't in the report. So do we need to do an oral amendment right now to make sure any deed report has the basic information, which I don't think we should have to do, but I think Senator Pratt is trying to get your attention to. But I just want to throw it out there.
And if I can
Senator
answer
Champion?
Senator Draheim's question, my understanding of this, whatever Senator Pratt is reading from, is supposed to be the initial report. There's a final report that is forthcoming that I'm certain will have the answer to all the other questions.
Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, according to statute, that final report was due December 15th, 2025. I don't believe it's been presented to us. So here we are, Senator Champion. I don't know that we're going to get another report because we've already passed the statutory deadline.
Well, let me also say this, Madam Chair. Senator Pratt, we will certainly go back and double check, but I will also say that this might be a business that was dealing with the Operation Mitchell Surge, because the state of Minnesota was pretty busy around December 2025, and I'm certain that you will agree with that. We will double check, as I mentioned, and we will certainly provide any information that we can give you. But we do know that Operation Mitchell Surge started December 1st of 2025 and through the state of Minnesota, including all businesses, in a real unfortunate tizzy. And so we will certainly follow up.
Thank you, and I think Mr. Powder had more to add. No? Okay. Senator Pratt, follow-up?
No, Madam Chair, I just find it interesting that we couldn't get the reports in time. We passed statutory deadline. The first report was late. Again, we continue to talk about Metro Surge, and I'm not denying that it had an impact. I'm not denying that I've talked to a number of people who were truly afraid and shouldn't have been. And then yet this committee continues to gloss over $9 billion of fraud, waste, and abuse. As Senator Draham's brought up, many of these provisions lack it. We've tried to put it in reporting, and the reporting we get is insufficient. It doesn't even match what we've required in statute. And so how are we as a legislature supposed to oversee our agencies in preventing fraud when we don't get the information to be able to do it, when reports are late? I'm sorry, Senator Champion, I don't buy that Metro Surge back in December 15th was the cause of the delay on this. Here we are, April 15th. We are 4 months past that time and date. And you're telling me we couldn't get this report before now? I just don't buy it. I think you and your party continue to talk about Metro Surge and gloss over the $9 billion of fraud and the economic impact that had. We did way more and got way better reporting through COVID than we have now. And I'm just disappointed. And we've seen the legislative auditor's report from last year that caused us to put some of this language in, and we're not seeing, I'm not seeing that the agency has taken that seriously.
Before we get to you, Senator Champion, I think Mr. Melton has some additional information on the report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to be clear, I believe that DEED and this organization or this business have been working to try to finalize this report. And I know that there have been some issues, and Devin, I don't know if you can speak to those, but I know that we have been trying to facilitate moving this forward. So we want this report as well, Senator Pratt. So we have been trying to make sure that it gets processed.
And Madam Chair, if I can say one thing, Senator Pratt, because this is a part of what I think is really important, because sometimes that we hear numbers and that we hear things, but there's no proof of those things. So tell me, what agency have you talked to that tells you that there's been $9 billion of fraud that's been verified? Not a news report, not the former United States attorney who says could be. We're not certain. So please tell us on the record.
Senator Pratt?
Where are you getting that $9 billion from?
Senator Pratt?
Senator Champion, I think, the $9 billion comes from the U.S. Attorney, and the fact that you're trying to deflect this question, I think, is a real problem. The fact that we've seen outright fraud in the Department of Human Services, and we've seen, and now it's being reported, and you seem to be turning a blind eye to potential fraud in the Promise Act. You and I don't usually go at each other like this personally, and I'm disappointed that you've chosen to take this route, but there is nothing here that says that we've really taken fraud seriously. And I'm telling you, this is the #1 issue that I hear about when I'm in my district. People are mad. They're asking me, why should they pay their taxes today when we can't secure the taxpayer funds and make sure that it's not going to wage, frost, and abuse? And if we're going to go down this path, Senator Champion, then I think, we can excuse everybody else and we can just continue to go toe-to-toe.
Yeah,
Senator Pratt, just for the record, I actually serve on Human Services as somebody who has had a front row seat to that issue. I have over 7 bills that are program integrity, and happy to have you as a co-author. It's all bipartisan. This isn't Human Services, it is DEED, and I think the issues differ because we're serving different people.
And Madam Chair, Senator Pratt, I hope that you don't think I'm taking it personal, because I'm not taking it personal. I think it's unfortunate when we repeat something without evidence. And then you interpret the fact that I asked, have you seen any documentation that says that it's been $9 billion of fraud? No one is suggesting that we gloss over it. Senator Gustafson here has been working on this for the past 2 years with the Office of Inspector General. We've been doing a number of different things. No one is glossing over it. But I think you're glossing over having the data to back up what you're saying when it comes to a number. I'm not suggesting that we should not, and I'll be happy to go toe-to-toe with you because I don't think you have that information, but I think you're taking it from a news report and someone saying it, but not having the empirical data around it. So thank you, Madam Chair, for that
Senator
opportunity.
Pratt, follow?
No, Madam Chair, I think we can trust the U.S. Attorney, and it's not news reports. It's straight from the U.S. Attorney who's collecting the data and the information. And I can see Senator Champion can shake his head all he wants, but we're not going to agree on this. What we should be able to agree on, and I'm disappointed we can't, is that we have continued to see rampant fraud, waste, and abuse in this, in a lot of these bills, and the lack of the administration to take it seriously. We passed an OIG bill last year, 60 to 7, that's been blocked in the House, and it's ridiculous that has been happening. But we've not seen, I mean, I'm looking at this report that was over a year late getting to us. February of 2025, it was due December 15, 2023. And we're not doing any better. And here we are with a report like this. We're trying to give out another $1.5 million to a for-profit company that hasn't shown that they've done anything close to what they promised to do in the initial appropriation. And this is the place that we have this discussion, not finance, not anywhere else. This is the place we have this discussion because we have oversight of deed. And this is where we're making the recommendation that these monies be given out to a for-profit company. And I'm not seeing it. 16 jobs. 16 jobs is what they want to be able to do. It's over $30,000 per job if I did my math right. I can't remember if I did it on 5 million or if I did it on 2.5, but it was about $30,000 per job. We are almost, as the state, hiring for this company.
Madam Chair.
And they haven't even told us what they're doing with the money yet.
Thank you, Senator Pratt. Senator Champion.
Finally, I will say this. One of the things that I don't think is always good, I don't think it's good when people, for whatever purposes that they have, that they just throw out numbers and they just say things. In this committee, we've been very thoughtful
Madam Chair.
always about.
Senator Champion.
Madam
Senator
Chair,
Pratt.
I'm taking numbers from Deed's reports. I'm taking numbers from the statute.
No,
I'm not just
wait.
throwing out numbers, and I take offense to that.
Senator Pratt, I hear you, but can you just wait your turn, please? Senator Champion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that it's clear to me that when people start saying things like whether we take fraud seriously or not and conflating language, all I'm suggesting is we have done and will continue to do everything we can with Deed. Deed has not been an organization or agency where there's been any fraud. And sometimes when we come in and have our talking points and conflate that, we tend to suggest to people that Deed, a state agency, is not taking fraud seriously, and I believe that they have, because we do not have anything from anyone that says that Deed has been derelict in their responsibility and therefore being okay with fraud. And certainly, I'm not okay with fraud. Certainly, the members around here are not okay with fraud. Here's the last thing I'll say. We haven't seen any suggested language that would even suggest. I know that Senator Draheim is always one who sort of gives us suggestions around reporting, but I don't recall getting any other information from Senator Pratt as to what language that he thinks that we should have in the bill that will lend itself positively. And we'll continue to talk about the Flex Forge and what that looks like, but I just want the committee to know and Senator Pratt to know that we're always open to suggestions of language and not just us cherry picking information from a press conference from someone who did not say, I found $9 billion in fraud. In fact, once he said that, he being the former U.S. attorney, somebody else went to 18 billion. Then somebody else went to another billion. We don't have the numbers, but guess what? One dime is too much, and we'll continue to fight because we believe that fighting fraud is important.
Senator, no more follow-up? Thank you. Members, any other discussion on the bill? What a lively discussion. With that, Senator Champion, I believe it is your intention to pass Senate File 3664 as amended to the Finance Committee. Is that correct?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
All right, Senator Champion moves to pass Senate File 3664 as amended and re-refer it to the Committee on Finance. Members, any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? The motion prevails, and Senate File 3664 is passed as amended and re-referred to the Committee on Finance.
Thank you.
All right, Senator Champion, come get your gavel.
Is there, first of all, let me just say thank you to everyone for lively discussion. We will continue to work on these bills and continue to work together because that is what we do. And this is one of those committees that we often have said, we try to keep us free from other political issues. Members, that concludes our business for this meeting. This is going to be our last Jobs Committee hearing for this 4-year term. We've all been serving together, so I just want to thank all the committee members. I want to pause and really thank Senator Muhammad for being such a wonderful vice chair and who's grown so much as a legislator in just one term. Man, I know we're all looking forward to what you will continue to accomplish with all this experience that she now has. So watch out for Senator Muhammad. Senator Drahan, our minority lead, we are going to miss you next year, Senator, but we thank you so much for your service to Minnesota and for always standing up for your district. And we'll continue to work on any language that you have that would be helpful with any of the other bills. Senator Pratt, I want to say to you, you've helped keep us all in line as former Jobs Chair. Thank you for your partnership in this committee, Senator. Senator Gustafson, you have been terrific, and you've done so much great legislating, even in your first term as well. And as you can see in the Omnibus bill, you have so many different provisions in there. I was going to rename it the Gustafson bill, right? And thank you also for even pitching in as chair a couple times for us here over the years. And thank you, and we sincerely appreciate that. Senator Putnam, who's no longer with us, we'll always appreciate him. Senator Nelson, who has been with us for all 4 years, she's not with us right now today, but we thank her for all her work. And Senator Herr, thank you for just tolerating us always, trying to get you here on time, and you telling us that you got so many things that you have to do, but you're always here, and I thank you for it. But you're one of those that are soft-spoken, but when you speak, you say powerful things, and we all listen, and I just sincerely want you to know that. We appreciate that. Senator Housley, who's not here, I also call her the hockey mom, but, she's on, okay, there she is. Senator Housley, you've always been a joy to have with us, and you are always here to help make sure we don't forget about hockey. That's why I call you the hockey mom. And now in golf, I'm certain that you are thinking about that. And last but certainly not least, our newest member, Senator Pa. Thank you for your work and your advocacy. It has been a pleasure having you on the committee for this biennium, and thank you for being such a champion, no pun intended, for around making sure that we can get our economic relief bill across the table. So I want to thank also fiscal and staff, and also our Senate Counsel, Carolyn Doyle Fontaine and Casey Mumm. And even though we miss Hannah Noder, we dearly appreciate you being here, and we can't wait to see more pictures of that wonderful and adorable baby. And her son is named August, right? August. Yeah. So the name is August. Hannah's child is named August. So we are appreciative of that. And so, Carlin, you know, you have been with us and just for a long time, and we so appreciate you. And we know that we can't always get you to come out to meetings in the early morning, but we can get you for one 7:30 meeting. Last but certainly not least, a couple other people I want to thank. Tom Melton, my committee administrator here, and also our committee legislative assistant, Taylor Titwell Bennett, who I'm legally required to remind everyone that she graduated from North High and from Spelman. So I know that I'm legally required to do that, but I'm proud of her and thank her for all her hard work. And Tom, I often joke with Tom when we are doing something and he says something miraculous, or he tells me or reminds me of something that was like, oh my God. I always say, see, that's why your parents sent you to the Humphrey. I know that's why they sent you to the Humphrey. But I want him to know how much that we sincerely appreciate him. And my executive assistant to the president, Shamika, who's always makes sure things are running smoothly. You see her bouncing in and out of these rooms, and I just want her to know that we appreciate her as well. And you know, we used to have Alexis Varner who was with us, and even though she still runs around here on behalf of Ramsey County, we are thankful. I'm thankful for Damian Moore and for Andy Larson. Thank you for being here and working with us and jumping in, especially when we needed you. I know that Andy's been with us for 2 or 3 years as well and has been great to work with, and he always makes sure he keeps us on our toes, and we sincerely appreciate that. Danny Gillis, we want to thank him. We know that he's doing great work with transportation. And thank you to our pages, Brooklyn Carlson and Finnegan, Joyce Velez. I hope I got it. Huh? Finian. I wanted to get it right, okay? I want to thank them for being here this session with us. And Georgia Barnes, who is Senator Muhammad's new legislative assistant this year, who's helped the committee out in a number of ways, but she has always been down with us and here to help us on the Zoom portion of our hearings, and we sincerely appreciate that. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank the Commissioner Verlick and Deed, Laura Bennett, Magenti, and Explore Minnesota, Commissioners Rukavina and the IRRB. We just want to thank them for all the great work that they're doing, and we just sincerely appreciate it. I know I've had a ton of thank yous, but I like to make sure that I don't forget anyone, and I don't want to forget the Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner McKinnon, who I lovingly refer to as the FTC. You all know that's short for former temporary commissioner, because he was that, and I want to thank him for that. And Devin, and Commissioner Majors, Nathan Ratner, we just sincerely appreciate you all. So thank you. If I missed anyone, blame it on my head and not my heart. I want to take the time because people have worked so hard, and I think that we always should give them a moment of gratitude. And so I thank you for that. So did I miss anything, Tom? Oh, he actually said, I got it all. Okay, thank you so very much. Senator Hurd.
I think we forgot to thank you as well as all members, so I want to speak to thank you, the chair. And today you have a nice tie.
Thank you.
A nice tie.
Oh, I like that. That means I have bad ties certain days. I don't know what that means. But thank you to everyone. With that being said, the committee is now adjourned.